Greetings, ladies and gentle readers. I'm Dwyer, and I just finished reading Mark of the. Still not entirely sure how to pronounce this. I'm going to call it Crijik. And by that I mean the entire series, which is what I'm going to review now. Now I'm going to try to avoid spoilers at first, but I want to go and dive into both the good and the bad of this rather interesting series that has 2,254 ratings on book one right now, and unless it was at some point in the past, that's with a book one that isn't free. Sometimes you do see a book one with like a lot of reviews when there's, pretty lengthy series because the author is giving away the first book free to get people into the story. Unless maybe he's done that in the past, I don't know. But if not, then yeah, a lot of people have been into this, definitely purchased the book and has positive reviews. So what is this book exactly? Well, immediately, one thing that comes out is it is, in point of fact, a book that is found on Royal Road. More on why I'm mentioning that in a moment. But the overall arc of this particular book is pretty straightforward, and I think it's right here. Yes, it is right here in the description. You've got a person who is essentially the chosen of a god. They are marked by them, hence Mark of Crijik. He is, it, she, it, whatever the thing is. It is a god. Mark's good old main character, Andros Silver, and he's going to get stronger, and at age 25 he is set to either die or ascend or something along those lines. It's a little bit ambiguous as to what exactly happens to the people who are marked at 25, only that none of them have apparently survived it. Right away, I'm interested in the story. I like that prompt for a writing project. Like, ooh, yeah, we got an idea. I'm going to make a really, really strong character, but his death is guaranteed at a certain age unless he figures out a way around it. Oh, all right, sure, all right. I'm on board. I'm on tentatively on board. Tentatively on board. Tell me more. Tell me more. Well, does it mention reincarnate? Yeah, reborn. Okay, good. So another thing is he dies in his world. Unlike a lot of reincarnation, his death isn't accidental. That's established immediately. He is pushed off a building intentionally to kill him, supposedly to be reborn in this other world. That said, the book one title is misleading. It says reborn into a family that wants to kill him. That part is not true. So I don't know, maybe the book underwent a rewrite or two, but his family doesn't want to kill him. I've like all five books that's never come up. That is just patently not true. They don't like him. There's friction there, and he has to like overcome that or like learn about it and understand it and figure out like what's going on there. But doesn't want to kill him. Doesn't want to kill him. Gifted with a system. Everyone has the system, so a little bit weird there too. He is determined. That much is true. He does have to face challenges. That's also true. He has the mark. Also true. It does bestow great powers. Does kill him at age 25. All of the rest of that is spot on. Now, it has a supporting cast of characters, which is great. It's not one of these. He gets really, really strong and then goes out into the woods for, a year, killing, random animals, and then comes back even stronger and, like, deals with someone and runs back into the woods for another year and gets really, really stronger and then comes back and deals with, like, that's just lazy writing. Um, it's terrible, and yet it does well, so a lot of people sometimes tend to gravitate towards that, especially in the lit RP genre. Not a fan of that much at all. Instead, as a person from Earth reborn into a place where he's seeing a lot of things, there's a lot of interesting things going on. For example, and this is right at the start of the book. This is not a spoiler. Everyone is kind of distant from their family when they're first born because they can die during their first night. Now, first night isn't actually the first night that they're alive. The first night, I think they were a little bit shy on the details of when what the first night actually is in terms of when it occurs. Like it just kind of occurs randomly a little bit. But suffice to say, the first night comes around, and I don't think it's the first night of like the first year anniversary of being alive, something like that. It just seemed very, very arbitrary and random, but that's okay. But yeah, everybody who's born around that time gets put into a certain place where they have to survive their first night, where essentially they get marked by a system and sometimes potentially driven hopelessly insane. Now, what's kind of interesting about this is you have children determining what their skill is when they're under a year old. So it's wait, is it were they under a year or was he a year exactly? I don't know, something like that. So the babies essentially are being bombarded by their parents with like words and concepts and ideas like, "Ooh, look, fireball, fireball, fireball." So hopefully during the first night, during their choice, the stupid baby just regurgitates fireball, and then that's the skill they get. That Oh my god, I love that idea. I love that idea so much. I just wish they went a little bit more with it because babies be stupid, yo. And you don't know what's gonna come out of their mouth, like what concept they're gonna think of. So if this is their first skill, I really, really, really wish think twice, whoever that is. I really wish they sat down. Like it's this person. They have their picture here. I can't show you. Shoot, I can't show you. But as to say, their picture is here, so they are a real person. You can see who they are. But I really wish they sat down and thought of all of the interesting things that a baby might come up with, and all of the stupid things a baby might come up with, and have like some of a mix and match of those be throughout the book, where a kid said something stupid like candy or something. So okay, their skill is candy. Congratulations, this kid can shoot fireballs up from his hands. This one said water, so they can manipulate that. And this person, makes candy canes or something because that's the only thing that they thought up to say during their first night, right? Like, there's so many great opportunities for what they could have done with that idea and how that idea could change the world. Unfortunately, that last part isn't there. I got so excited. Part of the reason why I kept like reading through book one and two is because like I was waiting for that second interesting thing to kick in, or that like nonsensical thing to kick in. Like, yeah, what did you say your first night? Yeah, that baby? Yeah, his magic power is boogers. Because that's the only thought that went through his head when it was time for him to select the power. Yeah, good job, you little moron. Like, ah, so much fun you could have had with that. Unfortunately, didn't do it. But the first book overall, I don't really have any complaints. There's a lot of interesting things that we see during the world. He has the mark, and he's reborn, and he has his memories and whatever from, the first life. All of that is retained as a baby, which we've seen in only like one or two books before, where a book will start off like as a baby, right? But the mark, the more he uses the mark, the more it ages him, because, dead at 25. So that is an interesting little bridge to get our little reincarnated character older quicker through the story. So I thought that was like a cool little a cool little thing in the story to make it a little bit more believable when your premise is very, very unbelievable. Like, I loved everything that was being mixed in here for the first book. I really, really, really did. So that's book one, learning about the world, him making friends, um, getting some mentors. I wish there were a few other things that really panned out. Because in book one, we have this interesting system where the people are being teleported into like the front line of a war. And there's like a little bit of ambiguity of if they're going to survive, if they're all going to make it back. He seems to be in book one training sort of to help out that process, the war effort. And I loved all of that. Um, by book two, unfortunately, that's kind of going away, you know? Yeah, by book two, I don't want to like spoil how book one ends or anything like that. But yeah, by book two, that kind of goes away, and now we're like deeply, deeply involved in the life of what's going on at the academy he winds up going to as he's, progressing and learning skills and attuning to elements, which lets them use the aspect of their attunement and their skills a lot more proficiently. Unfortunately, this is also the book where things start to go downhill a little bit because you're immediately introduced to a new character essentially in this particular book. And that's a weird thing. And then that new character you're introduced has a weird thing that's going on around them. And this entire book is now turning episodic, which is why I mentioned the Royal Road thing at the beginning. But yeah, so that brings us back to it being the first novels, at the very least, were Royal Road, and as a result, we definitely do see it episodic because you tend to have to like release chapter by chapter or whatever per week or other week, month, something like that. So you can only concentrate on like the here and now because you here and now have to be publishing things on the Royal Road. But what's interesting is he's quit Royal Road. Yeah, it says I noticed, yes, he quit. You can't see here, sorry. But yeah, you see you have this like Q&A where he mentions that he's quit. After book 4, he quit Royal Road apparently. And then he felt great when he finished book 4. So it really explains why book 2 probably feels the way it does. It's because yeah, he had to like push the book out the door. Books 2 and 3 in particular. 3, not gonna lie, in many respects, 3 is my least favorite of the books because it just felt too episodic. So yeah, here is academy life. Little things happen. It's an okay read. Book 3, I'm not gonna lie, I thought it was just bad, like really, really bad, because they go to an amusement park. That's that's freaking strange. It very much read like one of those Naruto episodes that's like in between fights, like one of those filler episodes. It very much felt like that. It's like, why are we reading about him being here at an amusement park? It's very, very bizarre. Like, it just doesn't fit into the rest of the story and what we're being told, really. It's just some kind of weird side quest that takes up an entire book. So definitely, unfortunately, sadly, did not like book 3. I thought 1 was pretty great. I thought 2 was okay. 3 is probably why he quit Royal Road. I'm not gonna. I mean, yeah, I'm not gonna lie. 3 is probably why he quit it because he realized that his writing was probably going downhill. He probably realized that he didn't like what he was writing either. So he's like, "Yeah, I'm over this." That's how it appears to me, anyway. Because do things happen during the third book? Yeah, sure, a couple of things, and like there's a couple of characters. The characters I think were actually the two characters, the Bobs. I thought the Bobs were pretty okay. I kind of liked Bob and Little Bob. I just didn't like anything else about the book. Meanwhile, book 4 very much felt like someone who was recovering. Like 3 was bad. You can almost tell, you almost bet that the author did not like book 3 either. Unfortunately, you can see a lot of people didn't like book 3 because you have over 1,000 ratings for 2 or for 3, sorry. And then it drops to 800 for 4. So we do have a little bit of a decline. Like normally you always have a decline book to book to book to book. But when it's overall fine, you usually have it usually stabilizes somewhere. And we keep seeing a bit of a decline here because he's trying to recover after book three, but it seems like it's difficult. Here in book four, they go to a holy land filled with, priceless treasures that's not really in a specific spot. It's like in its own pocket dimension. And he tries to explain how this thing exists and all of that good stuff. Unfortunately, it doesn't make any sense in the slightest. Like, the idea of it is there's a pocket dimension filled with amazing amounts of treasures that can make or break entire households. Like, if you get a good treasure here, your and your descendants are set up for like for all time, like that level of wealth, right? Then these kids would never be near it. You'd have households fighting to the death to control and monopolize it because that's how humans operate. They'd be fighting to the death to control the priceless treasures within these pocket dimensions filled with priceless treasures that are worth entire multiple generations of wealth. And that's not the case. They're sending like freshmen in, and it's just like, what are we doing here? Like the idea behind the entire book for here, it kind of falls flat, so it's hard to really get engaged with what's going on. There's some cool ideas that could have happened during this. For example, in order to get access for the freshmen to get access to this, you had to have been taking part in you're not your training, but your sparring with your other with your other people, other classmates, like the entire time, right, right, right. And if you haven't, then you have a low rank, so you have low priority going in here, or maybe you don't even go in there at all. And our main character's been ignoring that all of these books so far. So it would have been fantastic if, oh my god, he didn't know this existed. He hasn't been sparring. He can't go. And then maybe he has to work out like what he needs with the people who are going and to try to like maybe curry favors because he's secretly been a mark this entire time. Maybe he like has to like kind of throw his weight around a bit, make deals with people maybe he doesn't want to make deals with to get the stuff that he wants. Again, I think that Think Twice was this close to having one of the greatest fantasy series of all time. Well, not all time. That's maybe a little bit too much. But one of the greatest lit RPGs of all time, hands down. But it almost feels like he wasn't ready to really push his ideas that extra mile, you know? So they're okay, but they really could have been great. Like, I like a lot of the ideas that he has. Even like the episodic nature of the books didn't really bother me all that much. It's just he needed to push things a little bit more. And now that he's off of Royal Road, I would have expected he'd been able to do that with, book four and five. But it just doesn't feel like he was really able to do that yet. Which brings us to his final book released so far. When was this released? This was released on March 6th, so not too long ago. Book 5, The Ascension. Not his Ascension, someone else's, so don't worry. The series is not over. And not gonna lie, this is once more probably my least favorite of the series so far, and here's why. Half the book is just dialogue. He kind of like forced a fight scene in there that didn't really matter. Like he has action for action's sake, like someone will surprise and attack someone in kind of a roughhouse sparring kind of way, but you can feel it's just filler because it just feels so out of place that there's like a weird fight scene going on right now. I was interested in because in this one, all of the marks finally meet. And I thought that was kind of interesting. I thought that was very, very interesting. But due to the episodic nature again of the series, we're immediately introduced to, well, I mean, we're introduced to a bunch of new characters. But one of them turns into like a mustache twirling villain because the main character is going to go up against them. And you're going to find out the main character is going to have to kill them, essentially. So, to make that more palatable, really evil things happen because of him. Like, this guy is like forcing his followers to like kidnap these people and enslave this thing. And we're going to kill these things. Like, it would have been more interesting if like you understood where the other guy was coming from, because you already know where he's coming from with how he sets it up, and you didn't have to go that extra mile to make him a villain. It would have been more interesting if he absolutely wasn't. If it was like, yeah, he's doing this because he doesn't want to die, and you're going to stop him because you don't want your people to die, and that sucks. No mustache twirling villain, no villainy. Could have had him been honored and respected by his people. Doing this just so their guy can live. Like, that would have hit so much better, in my opinion. And it's such a shame they didn't go down that route with this one. Like, you can see over and over again. Like, I feel like he's getting really, really close to a really, really good story, you know? But at this point, we're 5 books in. It's taking a while for him to get there. Can he get there on book 6? Will he be challenging himself on book 6? I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to say. Like, I certainly hope that he will. I certainly hope that he will, for sure. Because I am still interested in the character. But I think if I was to give advice to the author, I would say stop writing for at least a month. Go back through your notes on the world that you've built so far and just ask a basic question. What are the ramifications of what I've established so far? And let that tell the story of the next book. And ask yourself, as all good writers should, if this is what I've done so far, how is my character going to fit into the world, and not how can my world fit the character? And I think with the elements that the author has so far, if he can do that, then he's got a really great book 6 on his hands. Getting people to read it, though, will be an uphill battle. I think that'll be an uphill battle for sure. Because I can almost guarantee that the reason why, you know, the readers have been dropping off is because 3 and 4 were kind of weak. 5 had way too many stat screens, and then page on page of skill ranks up, skill rank up, skill rank up. Because at this point, no one cares. Okay, that's not true. A few people will care that, oh, this got to rank for level 5, and we're gonna get to rank 5 of this if this goes up to like, maybe some people are there, but overall, the story is gone way over to stats being meaningless. Because it's not like you're going, oh yeah, this person's got like, 5 strength, and this person has got 7 strength, and they're gonna have to fight. So we're going to figure out how you're not gonna get clobbered by like the stronger person. Now it's like, oh, this person's got, manipulation of this, and this is that level, and, in the manipulation, there's this skill that is this level, and then these 2 skills of that level, and this guy's got, like, the manipulation over here, and we can only guess his level, but he's got, like, no one cares. People are just gonna zone out completely, because people read a story to be told a good story, and not to be hit in the face with a wall of stats. Even in lit RPG, people don't read it for that. And you'll know, despite the fact, like, if you go to Reddit and be like, do you read? And you'll get people saying, yeah, 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 no, they're gonna upvote him, they're gonna upvote him. But then you go and ask yourself, both cultivation and lit RPG, what are the top selling? And it's not because they're just trying to crit the reader in the face with stat screens. It's telling they're telling a good story. They're telling a good characters. Their world feels somewhat believable, and it is because of these things that that people are reading, that people are enjoying to continue reading. So we'll have to see where it goes. We'll have to see where it goes. I will probably give 6 a try, but I think if 6 is again just like stat screen after stat screen with walls of skill ups, if it feels very episodic, we have no tie-ins to anything that's happened previously in the series, then yeah, I don't know. It's not. I'll be done. I think I'll be done with the series at that point. I think that'll be enough for me. But I will give it a try for 6. Either way, that's been my review. Hope you're enjoying reading whatever it is you're reading, and I'm gonna go find my next read. Take care, everybody.